Hi everyone, welcome to another English class. Today in our lesson we'll be looking at punctuation marks. Punctuation marks. What are punctuation marks? These are symbols that are used in writing to make the meanings clearer, to make what is being written clearer, and to show pauses, ending, and separation between words, phrases, and sentences, to show where there is pause or where a statement or sentence is ending, and also it helps to show the separation between words, phrases, and sentences. So as we explore these punctuation marks individually, we'll get to understand better what this whole write-up is about. But in essence, just know that when you are writing, maybe your story or anything at all that you're writing, anything that involves narration, you are narrating something or describing something, you use words. And as long as you're using words like that, you use these punctuation marks like comma, full stop, question mark. These are some examples of punctuation marks. So we use them in writing to help give clarity to what we are writing. All right, so the first example we have here of our punctuation marks is full stop. Full stop or period. When you hear full stop and you hear period in punctuation marks, it's referring to the same thing. And let me just put full stop is represented with just one dot. This is it. That's full stop. Okay, so that's full stop for you, and it is used at the end of a statement and also in abbreviations. When we see abbreviations, it means short forms of words. So full stop is used at the end of a statement. For instance, you say, yesterday I went to see a movie at the cinema. Full stop. If you are putting that in writing, after cinema, you have to apply your full stop. Okay, yesterday I went to see a movie at the cinema. So that's the end of a statement, for instance. And then in abbreviations, which is another word for short forms, you have something like this. This is Mr. You write Mr with a dot. Mr. John, Mr. Adamu. This is Dr with a dot, and it stands for, is the short form of doctor. Dr. Abel, Dr. Mary. And the last one here is MS with a dot, and it's a short form of Miss. Miss BC, Miss Angela. Okay, so these are some ways you use full stop, or otherwise known as period. All right, so the next example we're looking at of punctuation marks is comma. Okay, comma. Now this is the sign for comma. Is a curve that is used at the bottom of words. Comma. And what is it used for? It has a lot of use actually, but for this level we're just going to stick with two of the main uses of comma, and one of them is to show pause or separation in a sentence, to show separation in a sentence or pause, and the second one is to separate items in a list. Like when you are listing things, you use comma to show the items you are listing. So an example for the first one here, where it is used to show separation in a sentence, is given below. Let's take a look at it. So used to separate a sentence or show pause. An example: after finishing his work, Ada went to play. Now here is the comma. Okay, you can see that even when you are saying the words, when you get to work, there's a kind of pause. So a comma comes in there. After finishing, this ought to be her because Ada is a girl, After finishing her work, Ada went to play. You see, after work there is a pause, and that means a comma has to come in there That's what this first one is saying. That it's used to show pause or separation in a sentence. And the second one is, it is used to separate items in a list. When you are listing things, you use comma to separate them. Now, here's an example. This number 2 here, okay, is for listing things. She bought apples. You see that? She bought apples, comma, that's one of the items. She bought cherries, comma, and lastly, grapefruits. So you see the use of comma in listing the items that were bought. She bought apples, cherries, and grapefruits. So those are two of the main uses that comma is put into when it's being used in writing. It has a lot of it has up to 6 uses actually, but for this level we just stick with these 2 main ones. Okay. The third example we're looking at is question mark. Question mark. And what is a question mark? This is the symbol. This is how it is represented. And question mark is used at the end of a question. When a question is asked, question mark follows. For example, are you coming back? That is a question. Okay? And question is any statement that requires a response or an answer. So, are you coming back? That's the question mark at the end there. And the second one, is it true? That's also a question. So you see the question mark at the end. Okay, so whenever you are writing and there is a question involved in what you are writing, just know that you need to put this symbol at the end of that question. All right, the next one we're looking at is apostrophe. Now the apostrophe is just like a comma, but then instead of being used at the bottom, it's used at the top. It looks like the comma sign, okay, but it's used at the top of letters or words. And it is used to show possession or contraction. Possession means like who owns something, who owns what, and then contraction is when words are squeezed together, not written out in full. Okay, so we use apostrophe. We're going to see an example of each of them. So for possession, we have example here. It says, this is Ade's book. So here you see the apostrophe up here. Before the S, you see the apostrophe. So you see the apostrophe there, Ade's book. This shows that the book belongs to Ade. This is Ade's book. This is John's book. Now for the contraction, this is didn't. Didn't is the contracted form of did not. Okay? In full, it is supposed to be did not, but when it's in contraction form, it is didn't. So you see the apostrophe here. After the did, it is used, and then instead of not, not, it is nt. Okay, then the same thing here, isn't, is not. Isn't is the contracted form of is not. So this is what we mean by contraction. When words are not fully written out, they are merged together. So apostrophe is always used to show that this is contraction. So that's what we mean by contraction, and this is another area where apostrophe is used. Possession and then for contraction. This is my father's house. You use apostrophe after father, and then you add your s. My father's house, my mother's room. Okay? So the next example of punctuation mark we're looking at is exclamation mark. Exclamation mark is written like this. It's like the number 1 but with a dot at the bottom, and it is used to show strong emotion or emphasis. When words are spoken with strong emotions, you use exclamation mark, or it's also used to show emphasis when you're trying to really bring attention on a particular thing. For instance, hooray, Santa has finally arrived. Okay, and then congratulations everyone. These are words spoken with emotions, so you have the exclamation marks at the end. Hello, you use exclamation marks for such as well. So any word, words or sentences that are known as exclamatory sentences always have this exclamation mark at the end of them, or words that are spoken with emotions also have exclamation mark at the end of them. Okay, so the last example we're considering in our punctuation marks today is quotation mark. Quotation mark, and this is represented this way. So you can see the marks inside the bracket here. This one is used at the beginning of the speech and this is used at the end. Okay, they always come in pairs. Now this is used to show direct speech. It is used to show direct speech. What do we mean by direct speech? So direct speech is when someone is reporting what another person said and is using exactly the words of that person, not changing it in any way, saying it exactly the way the other person said it. For example, the boy said, "Mommy, let's go." Now, "Mommy, let's go." These are the exact words of the boy. "Mommy, let's go." Now, somebody else is reporting this thing that the boy said and is using exactly the words that the boy said. He didn't say the boy told the mommy that they should go. No, he just said the boy said, "Mommy, let's go." So the exact words of the boy is what we call direct speech. Direct speech. And you can see the quotation marks here. So whenever you see this quotation marks, it means the exact words of the speaker is being used or are being used when someone is reporting what the person said. Okay, so the next example here says, the teacher yelled, "Be quiet, students." Okay, the teacher yelled, "Be quiet, students." Somebody reporting it could just say, the teacher shouted at the students to be quiet, or asked the students to be quiet. Okay, but by saying exactly what the teacher said, this is called direct speech. The teacher yelled, "Be quiet, students." So you see the quotation marks again here to show the exact words of the teacher, and here, and we put exclamation mark. Remember, we just talked about exclamation mark because this is spoken with emotion. The teacher can't be yelling without him adding emotion to it. And you see the way I'm even raising my voice here. "Be quiet, students." So exclamation mark is in order there. Okay, so here is what we're going to call it a day for today in the use of quotation marks, exploring our punctuation marks. So this is what we're going to call it today. I hope we have learned something. I hope to see you again next week. Until then, stay blessed and stay safe.